Open up an entire room to the great outdoors with a folding patio door system from JELD-WEN. This video is to be used as a reference tool. Please follow the printed instructions. Here are the needed tools to install the folding door system. Please feel free to pause the video as necessary to view the list. Please see the full set of installation instructions for provided and needed installation materials. These doors require specific head and sill preparation depending on configuration. Please refer to the printed instructions for details. Verify the width and height of the door frame are each 1/2 to 3/4 inch smaller than the rough opening. Now, verify the rough opening is square, level, and plumb. Next, install the sill pan according to installation instructions. On a clean, flat surface, carefully position the head, jambs, and sill with the interior facing down. Next, run a bead of silicone on all the surfaces of the sill. Remove backing paper from gaskets and adhere to both ends of the sill. Repeat the silicone application for the head where the ends will contact the jambs. Now, fit together flush and secure through the pre-drilled holes in the jambs using the 10 by 2.5 inch flathead screws. Before installing the frame, make sure to remove the center pivot housing. Having this removed will allow for the frame to slide right into the opening. Now, carefully install the frame into the opening. Make sure the frame makes solid contact with the sealant on the sill pan back down. Tilt the frame into the rough opening, pull the weather stripping out, and apply a temporary fastener. This fastener will keep your frame in place while you install your shims. Now it's time to shim the jambs. From the interior, shim the side jambs at each pre-drilled hole, or at a maximum 16 inches on center. Next, shim the head track next to the pre-drilled holes. Also shim at the strike plate, or plates if applicable, so that the strike plate screws, which are installed later, will each penetrate a shim. Now inspect the frame for square, level, and plumb. Remove the frame and reinstall if necessary. Now we will fasten the frame. To secure the head, fasten through each pre-drilled hole. If not pre-drilled, drill fastener holes through the center of the top roller track every 3 inches on center for the first 15 inches out from the jambs, and then every 16 inches on center. Fastener holes should not go through, but next to shims. Move shims accordingly to the next fastener holes if necessary. Secure the top roller track to the header using the provided number 12 by 3 inch flathead screws through the pre-drilled holes. To secure the sill, pre-drill fastener holes through the bottom flush bolt guide channel or main guide track only if fasteners will not impede rollers. Drill holes 4 inches from the jamb at both ends, and then 8 inches on center for the first 16 inches, and then every 16 inches. Use the same fastener pattern as for the flush bolt guide channel and drill fastener holes. Put a generous amount of silicone sealant in each hole and drive a screw through each hole. Secure the side jambs behind the weather stripping every 16 inches. Once the frame is securely in place, use a 3/4 inch spade bit and drill a hole through the center pivot housing hole into the rough opening, deep enough to allow the housing to fit flush against the jamb. Then reinstall the housing in the frame with the 2 provided screws. To avoid damage to the rollers, clean all debris from the main roller track in the head. Study the door configuration before installation. Begin panel installation from the pivot panel at the jamb end and continue away from the jamb in each direction according to configuration. Doors are numbered from the outside, left to right. To gain access to the installation holes in the lower pin, First, pull the top cover up and then slide the pin assembly from the base. Set the lower pivot pin base in the sill as shown and fasten with the provided number 8 by 1 inch pan head screw through the pre-drilled hole in the sill closet to the jamb. Slide the pin assembly back into the base and fasten through the remaining hole with the other screw. Now, locate the cutout near the end of the head track and insert the carrier. Then install the pivot hinge. Align the metal hinge plate with the plastic housing and secure the hinge to the upper track with 4 screws. Place a board near the outer edge of the first door panel. This will support the first panel as it is fastened to the frame. Hold the door vertically and set the lower hinge of the pivot panel onto the pivot pin. Attach the bottom hinge onto the panel. Insert the center pivot pin into the hinge leaf and tilt the panel into place. Align the top of the panel with the top pivot hinge already installed in the head and fasten with screws the top pivot hinge onto the door. Hold the first door in the open position. Place the second door next to the first and align the tops of the doors and the hinges. In some cases, the roller hinges will be on the second door, making this the carrier panel. Holding the door vertically, screw the top roller hinge onto the door. Place the bottom roller bearing into the main guide track with a pin toward the exterior. Slide the door against the preceding door in the open position. Make sure the center pull handle is to the inside and join door hinges. Repeat the above procedures for additional hinge and carrier panels until all doors are hung for that direction. When completed, repeat for the opposite direction. Doors are adjusted at the factory but may need additional adjusting. Slide doors into the closed position and push the flush bolt handles down to secure. Check for a 3/16 inch gap between the panels and the head track, a 3/8 inch gap between the panels and the sill track, and proper lock function. Roller hinges and top pivot blocks adjust vertically using a flathead screwdriver. Insert the screwdriver into the bottom and turn to the right to raise and to the left to lower. Adjust as necessary to achieve a consistent reveal across the opening. Top and bottom pivots adjust horizontally using a Phillips head screwdriver. Open the panel and adjust until equal spacing exists between the panels and jambs. Check to ensure that the lock functions properly. If the panels are too far apart for the lock to function, adjust both ends equally toward the center until the lock functions normally. If the configuration has the passage door meeting with a strike door, make sure the doors are aligned along the full height of the door when closed. If the doors are not aligned, the hinges may have to be adjusted vertically for the doors to align. Open and close the door system to check for smooth operation. Remove the yellow shipping clips from the roller hinges and top pivot blocks, and make sure all locking pins are in their slots and are secure. Insert the cap into the pivot hinge leaf if not already installed. The JELD-WEN custom door system can be arranged in multiple panel configurations, and additional hardware installation may be required. On the interior, create a continuous air seal between the rough opening and the door frame, using a backer rod and sealant or low expansion foam. On the exterior, seal the gap between the door frame and the rough opening with backer rod and sealant. Remove any labels or other materials adhered to the glass within 30 days after installation. That's it! And now you're ready to enjoy your brand new JELD-WEN patio door.